Who is Saint Joseph and why is he important? That's what I'm going to be addressing with this book review on The Book of Saint Joseph by Jose A. Rodriguez. Hello and welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you've been here before. If you haven't yet, please click the subscribe button down below. And also if you could click the like button, I'd really appreciate that, because that tells YouTube that this video is good and worth seeing, and it will recommend the video to other people as well. So if you like this video, please hit the like button so that YouTube knows to recommend it also to other people who might be interested in this topic. Now, this book by Jose A. Rodriguez, The Book of Saint Joseph, it covers the life, death, and glorification of the Virgin Father of Christ. So Saint Joseph was the foster father of Jesus. And if you look in the Bible, not a huge amount is known about him direct from Scripture. And this book kind of takes care of that problem, because while there are scriptural references to and about Saint Joseph, there's also private revelation that you might not know about. I didn't know about a lot of it until I read this book. And bear in mind, this book is also recommended by Father Don Calloway. And you may have heard of his book. He actually wrote a book of consecration to Saint Joseph that I know is well loved. My husband, in fact, read his book and did the consecration. And this book here, Father Calloway loves this book and has recommended it too. So, things that this book covers. It has, like I said, scripture in it. It also has private revelation in it. I had heard of one of the persons that was used in this, as far as the private revelation goes. And I'd heard of the other one in passing, but there's Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich. Her private revelation is used in this. There's Anne Catherine Emmerich, there's Baj, and there's Mary Agreda. And there's also, I think, one or two other people, but those are the main ones that are used for their private revelation. And this book covers so many topics. It has the infant prince, so it covers from private revelation Saint Joseph as a baby, his childhood, his adolescence, and early manhood. Basically, when he was summoned to be the husband for Mary, it covers whether he was a young Joseph or an old Joseph when he was married to Mary. His virgin fatherhood, because Saint Joseph was also a virgin, and he was a consecrated virgin following with Mary's footsteps on this. And it talks about him as a father and leading a family. When he dies, the communion of the saints. And this book also covers apparitions of Saint Joseph. It has a section dedicated to his relics, references that the popes and saints have made to him in his feast days. And it also covers devotions, sacramentals, and shrines. It's a very rich book. It's a very concise book. It covers a lot of territory. I've thoroughly enjoyed reading it. And as I've gone through it, there's so many things that I find that it's like, wow, we're not required to believe private revelation, but the private revelation makes so much sense in the context of Saint Joseph and what we know about him and who he was. So even before reading the private revelation, there are things that you read and you're like, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds on target with what, I knew about him just from scripture and from some tradition before I even read this book. And the artwork in this book is absolutely fantastic. I mean, here's an example for you right here. That's one picture. There are so many beautiful pictures in this book. And that's actually one of the things I loved. As I was reading it, just sort of pausing at times and looking at the pictures in this book. Here's another one, for example, and this is from the Nativity. And so as you're going through, you'll read sections of the scripture and the private revelation and commentary, and the way Jose connects everything. So it's like it'll go from private revelation to he'll connect that part to the next private revelation, or he'll introduce it. And it's just so well written at times that it's almost seamless, that sometimes you actually have to pause and look to see, oh, well, who is this revelation by? Because it just flows, which to me is a sign of a good author, because while he gathered the material for us, so we're not having to look at all different sources on our own to find it, he gathered the material, he did the work of putting it all together and making it chronologically correct, and then making the flow of connecting all the pieces together. He did an excellent job on that. He has in here, for instance, the Chaplet of St. Joseph and the various mysteries, because like with the Rosary for Mary, there's also the mysteries with Joseph. So there's the joyful, sorrowful, there's the glorious. He has all those. For the chaplet, there's the mysteries related to St. Joseph. Here, for example, is the page where he talks about some of the apparitions. And I've thoroughly enjoyed reading this. He also does a part where he talks about the people who had the commentary, as far as like the Venerable Maria de Agreda. He has a section in back where he talks about those people who have talked about St. Joseph, as you can see here. I was just really impressed with this book as I read it. Part of what compelled me to read it is I've sort of developed a new devotion to St. Joseph. It started back in, I believe, February. Our car broke down, and by broke down I mean the transmission died. The car was done. And so we were carless for 29 days. And so, I was on Facebook asking for help and saying, I need your prayers if anyone knows of somewhere we can get a car. Because at that time, used car sales were skyrocketing to the point, as far as prices go, where used cars were literally selling for more than new cars. Like, for instance, I had a Toyota Sienna. A 2019 Toyota Sienna in February was selling for more than a 2022, if you could find one, Toyota Sienna. It was actually selling for more than it was selling for in 2019. It was ridiculous. Anyway, so a friend had recommended praying to St. Joseph and asking for help. And I thought, that's a good point. So I looked up the St. Joseph Novena, and I did novena to him, asking for a new vehicle. And he came through, and we do have a vehicle. It's not a perfect vehicle, but it gets us where we need to go. And that to me was a really important thing, to have, some sort of transportation. And so he came through for me. And so ever since, I've sort of had this kind of growing devotion to St. Joseph. In fact, my husband had gotten me another book by Father Goring up in Canada. And it was kind of like Father Don Calloway's book in a way, but slimmer, much slimmer. And it talked about St. Joseph in various aspects. I really, really enjoyed reading that and learning more about St. Joseph. And so following that one up with this book here, it was just, I had to read it. And then in reading it, it's like just reading the scripture and the private revelation, how it all connected. It's just a beautiful book. The pictures are amazing, as I said before. In the back, here's another example of 2 more pictures. But the book is full of these. It's full of the pictures. It has the different churches that are named for him, that are dedicated to him, the statues. It's got the sacramentals. It has various prayers and the little office of St. Joseph. So it's a really good book that consolidates pretty much everything you'd want to know about St. Joseph in one spot. And it's thorough. It has beautiful pictures. It is so well put together. And so I'd highly recommend this book to you. It's worth the read. If you have a devotion to St. Joseph, you're going to absolutely love it. If you don't yet, but you're kind of interested, this book is an excellent book for you, because you'll learn about him and you're going to learn to love him. I mean, he was Jesus' foster father. So we know that Jesus, before the incarnation, he chose his mother. He chose his mother from the very beginning. And he also chose his earthly father, his foster father. And that's a very special man, the person that is chosen to be the earthly father to God incarnate. And if you can imagine, I mean, St. Joseph taught Jesus his carpentry skills. He taught him so many things. And he had to lead him, and he had to protect him. That's a major thing in that family. When you think about the life of Jesus, especially as a baby and growing up, St. Joseph was the head of that family. And he led his family well, and he protected his family. And it even talks in Scripture about when Jesus was found at the temple after those 3 days, about how Jesus obeyed Mary and Joseph and everything. Jesus was obedient to his parents, and Joseph had to lead Jesus as the head of his family. And this book just covers so well who Joseph was, and I really loved it. So I highly recommend it. It is available on Amazon. I believe there's also a Facebook page devoted to this, and I'll leave a link to that below if I can. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure out how to do that. The author also has a YouTube channel. I believe it's still up. And just go out and get a copy of this book. So that pretty much wraps it up for this book. I'm also in the process of reading another one, which I hope to get that video done and up soon, but I have to finish the book, and I'm a little bit more than halfway through it. Meantime, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you could, if you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below. I always appreciate that. And tell me in the comments if you have a devotion to St. Joseph, or if you know a lot about him, or if you've read about him, or if you're now interested in learning more about him from this book and from this review. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.